Most car features aren't hidden. They're misunderstood. Modern vehicles quietly adjust, protect, and compensate in the background. And when drivers don't recognize what's happening, normal behavior can feel like a problem, often leading to unnecessary stress and costly decisions. That misunderstanding adds up. According to American Automobile Association's Your Driving Cost data, the average cost to own and operate a new vehicle is about $11,577 per year, including maintenance and wear-related expenses. This video isn't about gimmicks or complex tech. It's about understanding the systems your car already uses to reduce wear and mistakes. If practical car knowledge helps you save money over time, consider subscribing. Let's begin with the first quiet feature most drivers overlook. Quiet feature number 17. The button that changes your cabin air instantly. Most drivers treat the recirculation button like a comfort feature, switching it on only when a bad smell slips into the cabin. In reality, it plays a much larger role. When activated, the system stops pulling air from outside and instead reuses the cleaner air already inside the vehicle. That single change reduces the amount of exhaust fumes, dust, and pollution entering the cabin, especially in heavy traffic or construction zones. What many people don't realize is how this also affects the car itself. By cooling air that's already been conditioned, the air conditioning system doesn't have to work as hard. That reduces strain, shortens cooling time, and helps the system operate more efficiently during extreme heat. Over long periods, that lighter workload can mean less wear on internal components. The misunderstanding happens because the system doesn't explain itself. Drivers assume it's optional or unnecessary, and some even avoid it entirely. Used correctly, it quietly improves comfort while helping the climate system last longer. It's not about blocking the outside world. It's about letting the car do what it was designed to manage on its own. Quiet feature number 16. The dashboard symbol most drivers misread. A sudden symbol appearing on the dashboard often triggers immediate concern. But not every light is a warning. Temperature and road condition indicators exist to inform, not alarm. When a snowflake icon or similar symbol appears, the vehicle is signaling that outside conditions have reached a range where traction could change. This doesn't mean something is wrong. It means the car is providing context. The system monitors outside temperature and alerts the driver when conditions may become less predictable. Many drivers assume the light signal's a fault, when in reality it's simply offering situational awareness. The confusion comes from how quietly the alert appears. There's no explanation attached. Just a symbol and a moment of uncertainty. Understanding this difference prevents unnecessary anxiety and helps drivers stay focused on what actually matters. Adjusting driving behavior rather than searching for problems that aren't there. Quiet feature number 15. The mirror feature designed to reduce eye fatigue. A small lever beneath the rear view mirror is easy to ignore, yet it addresses one of the most common problems in night driving. When adjusted, the mirror shifts its angle just enough to reduce glare from headlights behind the vehicle. The light is softened, preventing eye strain and helping preserve night vision. Many newer vehicles handle this automatically. Sensors detect brightness from the rear and dim the mirror instantly, without requiring any action from the driver. The goal isn't comfort alone, it's consistency. By reducing sudden bursts of light, the system helps the eyes stay relaxed over longer drives. Because the adjustment happens quietly, drivers often assume glare is something they simply have to tolerate. In reality, the solution is already built in. Once understood, the feature becomes effortless to use, quietly supporting visibility while allowing full focus to remain on the road ahead. Quiet feature number 14. The hidden release that works without battery power. When a vehicle loses power, the situation can feel overwhelming. An automatic transmission stays locked in place, and moving the car seems impossible. What many drivers don't realize is that most vehicles include a small emergency release near the gear selector that works even without battery power. This manual override allows the transmission to shift into neutral, making it possible to push the car out of traffic or into a safer position. The feature exists for safety, not convenience. It's meant to prevent a mechanical problem from turning into a dangerous situation. Because it's rarely needed, the release often goes unnoticed. There's no reminder about it, and many owners never learn where it's located. As a result, drivers may wait longer than necessary for help, believing they have no other option. Knowing this feature ahead of time changes that experience. A powerless car doesn't have to feel helpless. It's a quiet example of how simple mechanical backups are still built into modern vehicles, ready to step in when electronics stop responding. Quiet feature number 13. The tiny arrow that ends gas station guesswork. Nearly every fuel gauge includes a small arrow next to the pump icon. It points left or right, quietly indicating which side of the vehicle the fuel door is on. Despite being clearly visible, many drivers never notice it, because the arrow goes unseen. Simple stops at gas stations turn into awkward moments. Drivers circle pumps, stretch hoses across the car, or step out just to double-check. All of that hesitation was meant to be avoided with a single glance at the dashboard. The feature doesn't draw attention to itself, and it doesn't explain what it does. That's why it's so easy to miss. Once understood, it becomes second nature. Drivers stop guessing and pull in confidently every time, whether the car is familiar or not. This small detail is especially useful when driving a rental or borrowing someone else's vehicle. There's no need to remember where the fuel door is located. The information is always right in front of you. It isn't designed to impress or show off technology. It simply removes a minor inconvenience that happens far more often than people realize. Once you notice the arrow, it's almost impossible to forget it's there, and every fill-up becomes just a little bit easier. Quiet feature number 12. The tire system that communicates without screens. Filling tires often feels like a guessing game. Some vehicles remove that uncertainty by guiding the process without showing numbers at all. Instead of relying on a display, the car uses lights or brief sounds to signal progress as air is added. When the correct pressure is reached, the vehicle responds automatically. This approach simplifies something many drivers find frustrating. There's no need to repeatedly check a gauge or wonder if the pressure is close enough. The system quietly indicates when to continue and when to stop, reducing the chance of underinflation or adding too much air. Proper inflation affects more than comfort. Tires wear more evenly, maintain predictable handling, and respond consistently to the road. By making the process easier, the system helps drivers maintain these conditions without extra effort. Because there's no screen drawing attention to what's happening, many drivers don't realize feedback is taking place at all. The car communicates through behavior rather than data, responding at the exact moment action is needed. Once recognized, the feature feels intuitive. It turns a chore into a straightforward task and removes hesitation from routine maintenance. It's another example of how vehicles can guide drivers quietly, improving reliability without adding complexity. Quiet feature number 11. The color code under the hood. That prevents costly mistakes. Under the hood, color serves a purpose. Brightly colored caps and markings aren't there for style. They're visual guides. They point drivers toward service points meant for simple checks and top-ups, such as washer fluid or engine oil. In contrast, darker or neutral components signal areas that aren't intended for routine interaction. This system reduces the risk of serious mistakes. Mixing the wrong fluids or opening the wrong reservoir can lead to expensive damage. By using color as a guide, manufacturers help drivers avoid those errors without needing instructions or warnings. For many people, opening the hood feels intimidating. The color coding changes that experience. It quietly shows which tasks are safe to handle and which ones are better left alone. That reassurance encourages basic maintenance without fear of doing harm. Because the system doesn't call attention to itself, it's easy to overlook. Drivers may never consciously notice the color difference, even though it's guiding their actions. That's part of the design. The fewer questions it creates, the better it works. Once understood, the benefit becomes clear. Simple tasks feel more approachable, and the chance of costly mistakes drops significantly. It's a quiet example of design preventing problems long before they have a chance to start. Quiet feature number 10. The storage spaces thieves rarely think to check. Many vehicles include storage compartments that don't look like storage at all. They're tucked beneath seats, hidden behind panels, or blended seamlessly into trim pieces. Because they don't draw attention, they're easy for both owners and thieves to overlook. These spaces were designed with discretion in mind. rather than placing valuables in obvious areas like door pockets or center consoles. Manufacturers built compartments meant to stay unnoticed. In quick searches, intruders usually focus on familiar spots. Unusual storage locations often remain untouched, simply because they're unexpected. Drivers often stumble upon these compartments by chance. Sometimes it happens during cleaning or when searching for something else entirely. That's why many owners go years without realizing their vehicle has more storage than they thought. Once discovered, these spaces quickly become some of the most useful areas in the cabin. They provide a place to store items out of sight, without adding clutter or distraction. The value isn't about capacity, it's about invisibility. By keeping belongings where they're least likely to be seen, these compartments quietly add peace of mind every time the car is parked. By now, a pattern should be clear. These features don't announce themselves because they're meant to reduce mistakes, not demand attention. When misunderstood, they create stress. When understood, they quietly simplify ownership. If this kind of calm, practical car knowledge is useful to you, consider subscribing before we continue. Some of the most overlooked features are still ahead. And once you notice them, they're hard to ignore. Quiet feature number 9. The window controls that work before you get inside. On warm days, the most uncomfortable moment often comes before the drive even begins. Opening the door releases a rush of trapped heat, and the interior feels overwhelming instantly. Many vehicles quietly address this with window controls that work from a distance, long before anyone sits down. By holding a specific button on the key fob or using a simple mechanical position in the door lock, the windows can lower automatically. This allows heat to escape naturally instead of forcing the air conditioning system to fight it all at once. The cabin begins cooling on its own, reducing that initial blast of hot air. Because nothing announces this function, drivers often assume it's accidental or non-existent. There's no message explaining what's happening, and without guidance, the feature goes unused. Yet it's designed to make temperature changes gentler on both passengers and interior materials. Once understood, the benefit becomes immediate. The car feels more comfortable before the engine even starts, and the climate system doesn't need to work as aggressively when the drive begins. Over time, that gentler transition helps reduce strain while making daily driving feel less rushed. It's a small adjustment that quietly improves comfort without adding any extra steps to the routine. Quiet feature number 8. The locking feature that does more than secure doors. Most drivers see the key fob as nothing more than a remote switch for locking and unlocking the car. What often goes unnoticed is that the same device usually contains a mechanical backup designed for moments when electronics don't cooperate. Inside the fob is a physical key, hidden until it's needed. This backup exists for situations that catch people off guard. A dead fob battery, interference that prevents signals from reaching the vehicle. In those moments, the mechanical key provides simple access without relying on electronics at all. Some locking systems also respond differently. When buttons are pressed in certain combinations, unlocking functions drivers rarely explore. Because these features are used so infrequently, many owners assume they aren't there. The car never explains them unless something goes wrong, and by then, stress is already involved. That's when confusion replaces confidence. Understanding how this access works changes that experience entirely. Instead of feeling locked out or uncertain, drivers know exactly what to do. The situation becomes manageable, even routine. It's a quiet reminder that modern vehicles still rely on straightforward solutions when technology takes a step back, and that preparedness often matters more than extra features. Quiet feature number 7. The rear seat mirror built for safety, not convenience. In many family-oriented vehicles, a small mirror is hidden in plain sight, often inside the overhead console or tucked behind a sunglasses holder. It isn't there for comfort or novelty. Its purpose is simple: visibility. This mirror allows the driver to see the rear seats clearly without turning around or shifting posture. By keeping the driver's eyes forward, it reduces distraction at moments when attention matters most. Parents can check on children. Drivers can monitor pets or notice movement in the back without taking their focus off the road. The positioning is intentional, offering a wide view while remaining unobtrusive during normal driving. Because the mirror blends so well into the interior, many owners never realize it exists. There's no label or instruction pointing it out. It's designed to be available when needed, not to draw attention to itself. That low-profile approach is exactly why it's so easy to miss. Once discovered, the value becomes obvious. Instead of twisting to look behind or guessing what's happening in the back seat, drivers gain reassurance with a quick glance. The result is smoother, safer driving, and fewer moments of divided attention. It's a small detail that quietly supports awareness, doing its job without ever asking to be noticed. Quiet feature number 6. The symbol that suggests rest, not coffee. During longer drives, a small symbol may appear on the dashboard, often resembling a cup or simple alert. It's easy to dismiss it as a suggestion to grab a drink or take a casual break. In reality, the vehicle is responding to subtle changes in how it's being driven. These systems observe patterns rather than individual mistakes. Steering movements become less smooth. Lane position varies more than usual. Reaction timing shifts in small ways that are difficult for the driver to notice from behind the wheel. When enough of these signals appear together, the car gently recommends a pause. There's no accusation and no alarm. The alert is designed to arrive early, before fatigue becomes obvious or dangerous. That quiet timing is what makes it easy to misunderstand. Drivers often assume the message is optional or irrelevant, especially if they don't feel tired in that moment. The value of the system lies in its perspective. It compares current behavior to the driver's earlier consistency on the same trip. When concentration begins to dip, even slightly, the vehicle offers a nudge to reset. Understanding this changes how the alert feels. Instead of an interruption, it becomes reassurance that attention is being monitored when it matters most. The system doesn't replace awareness. It supports it, quietly reducing risk before exhaustion has a chance to take control. Quiet feature number 5. The start feature hiding behind familiar buttons. Remote start often feels like a luxury feature, something that would require a clearly marked button or a special key. In many vehicles, it's already there, just not labeled in an obvious way. Instead of a separate control, the function is activated through a short sequence using the same lock button drivers press every day. Because the process isn't clearly marked, many owners assume their car doesn't have this capability at all. The vehicle stays silent, and without feedback, the feature is easy to miss. Yet once activated correctly, the engine starts and begins preparing the cabin before anyone steps inside. This early start helps manage temperature extremes. In cold weather, fluids begin circulating gradually. In hot conditions, built-up heat can start dissipating before the drive begins. The result is a smoother transition. Once the vehicle is in motion, rather than forcing systems to work at maximum load immediately. Drivers often overlook this feature simply because nothing announces its presence. There's no icon on the dashboard and no reminder from the car itself. It exists quietly in the background, designed to be used when needed rather than advertised. Understanding how this function works turns something overlooked into something practical. Instead of scrambling to adjust controls after getting in, the vehicle is already in a more stable state. It's a small shift in timing that makes driving feel easier and more controlled, without changing any daily habits. Quiet feature number 4. The system that prepares for slippery conditions early. Most drivers assume traction and stability systems only react once something goes wrong. In reality, these systems begin working long before a skid ever starts. They constantly monitor wheel speed, steering angle, throttle input, and road conditions, making small adjustments as soon as traction begins to change. Instead of dramatic interventions, the corrections are subtle. Power delivery may be softened slightly. Individual wheels can receive more or less force to maintain balance. These shifts happen so smoothly that the driver often feels nothing at all. That quiet behavior is intentional. The system is designed to stabilize the vehicle without interrupting the natural flow of driving. Because there's no warning light or audible alert, many drivers assume nothing is happening. The first sign is often the absence of a problem. The car remains composed when conditions become slick, even though grip has been reduced. By the time a driver senses danger, the system has usually been compensating for several moments already. Confusion can arise when drivers feel a subtle hesitation or altered response, and mistake it for lag or loss of power. In reality, the vehicle is prioritizing control over speed. Understanding this helps drivers stay calm and avoid sudden inputs that could overwhelm available traction. The value of this system lies in trust. When drivers recognize that their car is already adjusting to protect balance, they're less likely to overcorrect or fight the steering. The result is smoother control, greater confidence, and a safer response when the road becomes unpredictable. Quiet feature. Number 3. The lighting feature that adjusts without announcement. Headlights no longer behave like simple on and off switches. In many modern vehicles, they adjust continuously, reshaping how light is projected based on speed, steering input, and surrounding traffic. The goal is steady visibility without creating glare for drivers coming the other way. As the road curves, the light pattern shifts to follow it. When speed increases, illumination extends farther ahead. In traffic, sections of the beam may dim or move aside to avoid blinding others while still keeping the road clearly lit. These changes happen smoothly and silently, which is why most drivers never notice them at all. Automatic beam control plays a key role here. Instead of switching between high and low beams manually, the vehicle monitors light conditions and traffic, adjusting output at the right moment. This reduces the small distractions that add up during nighttime driving, especially on unfamiliar roads. Because the system doesn't ask for attention, drivers often forget it exists. Yet it constantly works to reduce eye strain and improve reaction time by keeping the road visible without sudden changes in brightness. That consistency makes long night drives feel calmer and less tiring. What makes this feature easy to overlook is how natural it feels once active. There's no learning curve and no special setting to manage. The lights simply behave the way you expect them to, even though a complex process is unfolding in the background. Understanding that your car is handling these adjustments automatically allows you to stay focused where it matters most: on the road ahead, not the controls in front of you. Quiet feature number 2. The technology that sees beyond headlights. Some vehicles are equipped with systems that don't rely on visible light at all. Instead of depending on headlights, they use infrared or thermal sensing to detect heat and movement ahead of the car. This allows the system to notice pedestrians, animals, or objects well before they become visible to the driver's eyes. The purpose isn't to replace human vision. It's to extend it. Headlights are limited by distance, angle, weather, and darkness. Thermal and infrared systems operate differently. They recognize contrast rather than color, picking up shapes based on temperature differences. That's why living objects can appear clearly even on unlit roads, through light fog, or in areas where headlights haven't yet reached. What surprises many drivers is how restrained these systems are. They don't flood the cabin with noise or distractions. Alerts are brief and targeted, designed to draw attention without pulling focus away from driving. In some cases, the display highlights a shape on a screen. In others, a subtle visual cue appears, allowing the driver to decide how to respond. Skepticism is common because the technology works so quietly. Drivers may own a vehicle with this feature for years without realizing it's there. It only becomes noticeable in moments when something unexpected enters the road ahead, and even then it often feels like an added sense rather than a dramatic intervention. Once understood, the value becomes clear. The system isn't about novelty or luxury, it's about extra awareness when visibility is limited. Used correctly, it becomes a calm background assistant, one that notices what headlights alone can't, without demanding attention or changing how the driver naturally reacts. Quiet feature number 1. The feature that learns your driving habits quietly. Many modern vehicles don't behave the same way forever. Over time, they observe patterns: how gently you accelerate, how early you brake, the cabin temperature you consistently choose, even how much assistance you seem to prefer from steering or safety systems. These details are noted quietly and used to fine-tune how the car responds the next time you drive. This adjustment doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't ask for permission. The changes are gradual, subtle enough that most drivers don't notice them happening. Instead, the vehicle simply starts to feel more familiar. Controls respond in a way that matches your habits. Systems intervene earlier or later, depending on how you normally handle the road. Comfort features begin to align with what you've shown you prefer, not what a factory default assumed. Confusion often sets in when drivers sense something has shifted, but can't explain why. A steering wheel may feel lighter than it used to. Braking might seem smoother. Assistance systems may appear more or less involved, without understanding adaptive behavior. These changes can feel inconsistent, or even wrong. The real secret here isn't advanced technology, it's awareness. Once drivers recognize that the car is learning rather than malfunctioning, those changes stop feeling unpredictable. Instead of resisting them, the experience becomes cooperative. The vehicle isn't taking control away. It's quietly shaping itself around the way you drive every day. Final thought. Why understanding beats knowing tricks? Good drivers aren't defined by memorizing shortcuts or chasing clever hacks. They understand how their vehicle behaves and why it reacts the way it does. That awareness removes panic when something feels unfamiliar and prevents overreactions that lead to unnecessary wear. Most of the features covered here were never meant to impress. They exist to smooth out ownership, reduce stress, and quietly prevent problems before they grow. When those systems are misunderstood, driving feels complicated. When they're understood, everything becomes simpler. Car ownership doesn't have to feel unpredictable or expensive all the time. Learning how your vehicle already works shifts the experience from reaction to confidence. If this kind of clear, calm explanation helps you feel more in control, consider subscribing. More practical insights like this are always ahead.